Revealed, how a black mechanic transformed his life after a CEO's four-word insult. An amazing journey. In the heart of Detroit, where the sound of clanking metal and the rush of oil defined the air, Jamal stood by his workbench, a warrior in a world of gears and engines. At just 28, he wasn't just a mechanic, he was the fabric of his family, stitched together by his mother's sacrifices. Every engine he repaired, every car he brought back to life, was a step toward building a better life for her and his younger sister. Yet, underneath the grease-stained coveralls, he felt the weight of the world pressing down, expectations from the community chomping like a swarm of bees around him, stinging with each failure. That Tuesday felt different. The garage dipped into a buzz reminiscent of a high-stakes corporate event. A sharp-dressed CEO strutted in, exuding privilege and disdain. With his smirk, he scanned the humble garage like a king reviewing his impoverished kingdom. "This place is a joke," he quipped, his voice laced with derision. Jamal's heart plummeted when the man added, "Get a real job, mechanic." Those four words pierced him like ice, wrapping around his chest, suffocating his spirit. He stood frozen, what once felt like pride, now deflated like a tire without air. Doubt crept in, and for the first time, he questioned his worth, but anger started to bubble beneath the surface, ignited by that sting of shame. He had never backed down from a challenge, and this felt like a call to arms. Armed with new purpose, Jamal vowed to rise above. He embraced self-improvement with a fierce intensity, seeking validation outside the whispers of community gossip and the weight of family expectations. Yet, as he poured more of himself into his work, tension at home began to increase. His mother, loving and wise, began to notice the change. "Don't lose sight of who we are, Jamal," she cautioned, a lump forming in her throat, reminding him of his vows as a son and brother, weighed down by family values. Jamal faced obstacles at every turn: skepticism from investors, the blunt prejudices of potential customers, and rejections echoing from the loan department. Each setback felt like another jab, those four words echoing in his mind, carving out self-doubt in the temple of his heart. Just when everything seemed dark, a conversation with a local veteran changed everything. A man weathered by storms and soaked in wisdom, he encouraged Jamal to leverage his community ties. "We rise together," he repeated, his voice a steady anchor. With renewed vigor, Jamal dusted off his pride. He didn't just aim to repair cars anymore, he sought to transform the essence of his garage into a community hub. Sweat poured down his brow as he embraced each challenge, refusing to let history dictate his future. The garage thrived, filled with laughter, ambition, and determination. Success wasn't just possible, it was blooming right before his eyes. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As articles highlighted his journey, Jamal felt the warmth of recognition wrapping around him like a cloak. Yet, the more accolades came, the more he felt a rift growing at home. His mother's pride was tinged with fear, the light of success casting shadows on their shared values. Would this new fame detach him from the roots that had nourished him? Just when he thought he had it all figured out, a tragic event would draw him back into the depths of self-doubt and societal prejudice, threatening everything he had built. Jamal stood at a crossroads. Would he follow the path of recognition? Or would he tether himself to the values that shaped him? A storm was brewing, and the answer was far from clear. The morning sun streamed through the grimy windows of the garage, casting long shadows that danced along the floor. Jamal sat quietly on an old stool, staring at the toolbox in front of him. The weight of last night's argument with his mother hung heavily in the air. She had seen the accolades but felt the distance growing, the success making him something unfamiliar. "This is the life I wanted for you, but at what cost?" she had asked, her voice trembling, eyes full of tears. The question hung over him like a thick fog. He needed to prove to her and to himself that he wasn't just chasing recognition. He was building a legacy, a haven for the community, where they could feel valued. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of the late nights spent studying business strategies, the plans he scribbled on napkins, the countless calls to mentors who had built their own success against the odds. Jamal yearned to channel all that energy into something bigger than himself. As the doors swung open, the familiar sound of laughter filled the space. His younger sister, Maya, bounded in with her friends. Their voices cut through his momentary haze like sunlight breaking the clouds. They were excited, clutching flyers for a community car wash he had organized that weekend. "You're going to be famous, Jamal," one of them shouted. Their innocent enthusiasm warmed his heart, but immediately, a pang of guilt followed. Fame felt like climbing a mountain, and this newfound recognition was a steep cliff. "Hey, you guys need help?" he called, forcing a smile. They rushed over, faces bright with hopes for the fundraiser. Together, they tossed ideas about what the car wash could achieve: funds for community events, tools for the local school, opportunities for apprentices who wanted to learn the trade. As they brainstormed, Jamal felt the shadows recede. This was what he sought to create: a space where everyone could thrive, reminding him of those 4 words that once stung but now fueled his passion: get a real job, mechanic. Here he was, redefining what it meant to work with his hands, to honor his family, while standing tall in his community. But then, his reputation hit a hurdle. News came in that a rivalry garage in the neighborhood was not only slandering his name but also discouraging locals from coming to him. "They said you're just a wannabe, trying to act big with your community hub," a customer relayed, frustration clear in his voice. Jamal felt the anger seep in, his heart racing. They were undermining his journey just as he had begun to believe in it. Determined not to let this defeat him, he called a community meeting in the garage. He laid out plans for the car wash, emphasizing how they would not only wash vehicles but also lift each other up. As the people gathered, he sensed their unease but also their hope. The garage crammed with voices, a choir of potential. Sweat dripped down his face as he listened to their fears but counter-prepared with visions of success, unity, and resilience. "I don't just want to wash your cars," he said, looking each person in the eye. "I want you to feel that you belong here. That we're building something together." When the meeting wrapped, he couldn't shake a growing dread that he was still vulnerable to another backlash. His phone buzzed with a message: "The CEO is back in town. You know where he might swing by?" He swallowed hard. The ghosts of their first encounter loomed large. What would happen when Jamal faced the man who had sparked that fire in his heart? Would he stand firm in his newfound goals, or would the shadow of self-doubt creep back? The stakes were higher than ever, but Jamal refused to back down. The storm wasn't just brewing, it was about to break. Jamal leaned against the workbench, his heart racing as he considered the possible confrontation with the CEO. Memories of their last meeting flooded his mind: the dismissive tone, the arrogant smile. Could he stand his ground now? Would the community look to him for strength, or would he crumble under the pressure? He shook his head, forcing those negative thoughts away. Today wasn't about fear, it was about proving to everyone, especially his mother, that he was more than just a product of this place. He was a catalyst for change. He grabbed the nearby wrench, feeling the cold metal against his skin, grounding him in the moment. The garage was filled with the scent of oil and gasoline, reminders of hard work and determination. Maya peeked around the corner, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Are you okay, Jamal? You seem tense." He forced a grin. "Just thinking about today, that's all. Got to make it count." She nodded knowingly, her youthful spirit a constant reminder of why he was fighting so hard. "Remember, it doesn't matter what they say. You've got us. We've got this." Her words sparked a flicker of hope within him. He just had to believe. As the clock ticked closer to the start time of the car wash, Jamal glanced at the flyers plastered on the garage walls. Each one represented not just a car wash, but a chance to unify the community and show that they could rise together. More people trickled in. Familiar faces, some he recognized from school, others from the neighborhood, each carrying their own burdens but willing to share this moment with him. He felt a sense of warmth envelop the garage like a heavy quilt, each person stitched into the fabric of their community's story. As they gathered for a pep talk, Jamal stood up straight, a palpable sense of determination in his chest. "All right, everyone. Today is about more than just washing cars. It's a chance to show our power." Cheers erupted, and he felt their energy reverberate through him. But a nagging worry traced through his mind: what if the CEO showed up? What if he tried to undermine everything Jamal had worked for? The thought twisted his stomach. The morning passed with laughter and bubbles as water splashed from sponges and everyone joined in chants and music. He could see rows of shiny cars lined up outside, some bearing old paint jobs that reminded him of his childhood, the dreams he had woven into each one. Each soap-filled bubble was a promise of brighter days. Then, just as they were gearing up for the final push, a sleek silver car pulled into the lot, drawing eyes and gasps. There was no mistaking it, that was the CEO's trademark ride. Jamal's heart dropped as he recognized the familiar face stepping out. "You're really trying to be the hero of this neighborhood?" The CEO's voice was as smooth as the car's finish but carried an edge. Jamal's hands clenched into fists, the well of anger rising inside him. He fought to keep his voice steady, feeling the weight of every pair of eyes on him. "This isn't about being a hero. This is about all of us working together to build something that lasts." A chuckle rippled from the CEO. "Hope it's enough," he said, eyes scanning the crowd. Jamal could feel whispers taking flight, a mix of admiration and doubt. "What is it going to take to stop you?" The words dripped with condescension but also a sliver of challenge. Jamal took a deep breath, trying to block out the noise. This was at the moment that could either break him or lift him higher than he ever thought possible. Just as he was about to respond, a voice cut through the tension. "Why don't you join us instead?" Maya stepped forward, her small frame full of spirit. "You might just learn something." The room burst into laughter, but Jamal couldn't tell if it was his or out of sheer disbelief. The girl had thrown the gauntlet at the CEO, and suddenly, this felt far bigger than he had imagined. Would they turn this around or would the confrontation backfire? The storm was here, and it was now or never. Jamal took a step back, feeling the room shift around him. The laughter faded quickly, replaced by a thick silence only broken by the gentle sputtering of soapy water. Eyes turned between the CEO and Maya, uncertain of how this would play out. The air hung heavy with anticipation. "Well, isn't that cute," the CEO replied, his smile tight. Jamal held his breath, waiting for a retort that might knock the wind out of them all. But instead, the CEO laughed lightly, like Maya's words were nothing more than a child's whim. "You think you can teach me a thing or two?" "Yeah, I do," Maya shot back, her voice steady, confidence shining through. Jamal felt a surge of pride for her bravery, but worry twisted in his gut. What if Maya's boldness only fueled the CEO's arrogance? The crowd shifting in their stance as a few murmured in encouragement. Jamal swallowed hard and decided it was time to raise his voice again. "Listen, this isn't a game. We're trying to do something real here. You may think we're beneath you, but you don't own our spirit." More murmurs arose, and he noticed heads nodding as unity slowly began to emerge. The CEO, however, just smirked, as if he was above their collective strength. "You've got fire, I'll give you that," he said. "But fire can burn out just as easily as it ignites." "If we let it," Jamal shot back, heart racing. "But we're not going to." He looked around the crowd, gauging their reactions. The resolve on their faces steadied him. This was not just his fight, it was theirs too. Maya stepped forward even more, her hands on her hips. "You think you can scare us? We're here, united, ready to wash these cars and our community, and there's nothing you can say or do to change that." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices rising together like a wave crashing against a wall. Jamal felt that wave lifting him, holding him up. It was contagious, everyone felt it. The energy shifted back towards hope, and even the sunlight flared brighter as if encouraging their fight. The CEO's expression faltered for a split second, surprise flashing across his face. A beat passed where Jamal could almost imagine doubt creeping in. But the fierce arrogance returned quickly, like a storm cloud rolling in. "Hope you can keep this up," he said, glancing sideways at the shiny cars waiting. "Let us see how you fare in reality." As he turned to leave, he added, "Don't break your backs for a fantasy." Jamal's anger boiled beneath the surface, but he quickly channeled it, clenching his fists to keep calm. "We're building a future, one car at a time," he shouted after the CEO. He caught a glimmer of determination in the crowd as they rallied behind him. "Let us get back to work," he called, adrenaline flowing through him like gasoline igniting a fire. More cheers erupted, and they resumed their car wash, but with a renewed focus, laughter louder, energy higher. Jamal had rallied them, and together they were more than just individuals, they were a force. As he scrubbed down the first car, he felt a surge of confidence. Maybe they could change things. Maybe he could change things. What they were building together felt too important to back down from, but even as the sun beat down with warmth on their backs, Jamal couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in his gut. The CEO's words echoed in his mind. Hope was fragile, it needed to be protected. As they washed away the dirt, the clock ticked, counting down moments to what could be the beginning of something great or a reckoning. Would this fight be enough? What would their tomorrow look like? Jamal steeled himself for the answer, knowing the real test was yet to come. The sun hung high in the sky, illuminating the busy parking lot where laughter and shouts filled the air. Jamal wiped his brow with the back of his hand, the heat pooling in his skin. He squeezed the sponge, suds splattering onto the freshly cleaned car. It glistened, a symbol of their fight against the dismissive words of the CEO. Around him, team members picked up the rhythm, chatting and laughing. Maya was nearby, pouring her heart into a car while occasionally shooting him encouraging glances. Her determination ignited something deep within him, a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could really make a difference. "Hey, Jamal. Look at this," called Andre, waving him over. He stood beside a car, the sun glinting off its shiny surface. "The paint job on this one is unbelievable." Jamal stepped closer, momentarily distracted. The bright red paint caught his eye, sparkling as if it had a story of its own. "Yeah, that one was a beauty," Jamal replied, momentarily lost in thought, imagining the owner driving it off, head held high. But then the laughter faded as a black SUV rolled in, its tinted windows reflecting the sunlight. Jamal's heart sank. He recognized the vehicle, the CEO's signature ride. A knot twisted in his stomach, and the energy in the air shifted instantly. He braced himself, strength draining as he turned his gaze toward his friends. "Maya," he whispered, fear creeping into his voice. She met his eyes, sensing his concern. "Don't let him intimidate you, Jamal. We started this, and we're not going to let him take it away." His heart raced as the SUV parked. The door swung open, and the CEO stepped out with a sly grin plastered across his face. He surveyed the scene, disdain shining in his eyes. "Going to give it your all today?" he called out mockingly. "I thought we were addressing handouts, not washing cars." Jamal clenched his jaw, breathing deeply to keep his composure. Anger bubbled beneath the surface like molten lava, threatening to erupt. But Maya stepped forward, her hands ready at her side. "We're doing this for our community. Not for you," she shouted back, defiantly standing taller as if her very presence pushed back against the negativity. The crowd lingered, breaths held as the tension hung thick. Jamal felt adrenaline surge through him, running like electricity from Maya's bravery into his veins. He stepped forward, shielding the team from the CEO with newfound resolve. "Yeah, we're washing cars. It's not just about the shine. It's about pride and proving that we're more than just thoughts in your office," Jamal said, his voice steady and loud. The CEO smirked, once again underestimating their spirit. Pride? In washing cars? He scoffed, his laughter ringing out, empty like the promises he never kept, but this time, it didn't hurt. Jamal looked around. Their community was here, standing with him. We'll get our shot at changing things, Jamal asserted, feeling unity strengthen around him. And it starts today. Cheerful voices rose, echoing in the afternoon light as individuals joined in, each chant wrapping around the CEO like chains. Jamal's heart soared. There was something infectious about their resolve. They were more than just a team, they were a family. As the CEO turned to leave, he glared back with a hardened expression. Good luck playing hero. The words were blunt, like a knife slicing through the buoyancy that had built moments before. Jamal felt that heaviness again, even as cheers erupted behind him. He worried. Did they really have what it took? Could hope sustain them? A silence fell amongst the crowd as each face mirrored his doubt. Yet there was something rekindled in Jamal, a determination to fight. With every splash of water, every scrub of a tire, they were crafting not just cleaner cars, but a brighter future. Maya nudged him with a smile. Look at that. We won. Stop, right? His heart pounded loud in recognition. No, we won't. But just as he felt the conviction rising, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What would the CEO do next? Would he unleash something more sinister? Jamal took a deep breath, ready to face the unknown. The battle was far from over, and he could feel it in his bones. A reckoning was coming, and he sensed it in the air around them. The air tingled with anticipation after the CEO's departure, but Jamal felt an unsettling stillness deep within. He glanced at Maya, who was still wiping down the last car, beads of sweat trickling down her determined face. The proud glimmer in her eyes spoke volumes, yet Jamal couldn't shake off the unease. Let us keep this momentum going, everyone. He rallied, voice booming with a passion that sought to renew the spirit in the parking lot. We're here for our community, and they need to see us standing tall. The team around him plunged back into their tasks, energy bouncing back like a rubber band. Jamal noticed Andre chatting animatedly with customers, sharing smiles, exchanging laughs. Each conversation seemed to build a bridge to the people who mattered most, the local families they were helping. But doubt still gnawed at him. Who were they up against? The CEO had made it clear that he was not done. As the hours ticked by, so did the pangs of worry in Jamal's chest. When would his walls come crashing down again? Hey, Jamal. Fancy joining us at the food truck later? Maya's voice cut through his spiral of thoughts. She stood, hands on hips, stylishly challenging him with an eyebrow raised. I got to keep cleaning. Can't leave these cars, we're in this together. He replied, forcing a grin. Maya crossed her arms, leaning in slightly. I get it. But you also need to recharge. We can't fight if we're running on fumes, you know. Jamal considered her words, the wisdom ringing clear. Maybe she was right. Taking a moment away might give him the breath he needed to keep pushing against the tide. He nodded slowly. All right, but let me wash this last one first. As the day wore on, Jamal approached one of the elder customers, Mrs. Jenkins, who had just arrived in a worn-out sedan. Her sparkly headscarf contrasted with the dull paint of the car. She offered him a warm smile that seemed to wrap around his heart like a warm hug. Young man, I appreciate what you're doing here, she said softly. Our neighborhood needs people like you and your team. You stand for what's right. His chest swelled with pride. Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins. We're trying to pay it forward to give back. Exactly. That CEO doesn't understand us. He thinks he holds all the power, but it's people like you who truly lead the way. Her words sparked something in him, forcing a decision he hadn't realized he needed to make. They didn't just need to be visible, they needed to be a voice that as dusk began to settle. Jamal gathered the team. Listen up, everyone. Mrs. Jenkins just reminded me that it's not just about shining up cars. It's about standing for something bigger. What if we took this to the next level? Confusion flashed across their faces, but curiosity illuminated their expressions. What do you have in mind? Maya asked, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. Let us host a community meeting. Share our goals, our dreams. Invite everyone to come and hear our message to show people we're not just here for a wash, but to build something deeper. Excitement rippled through the crowd, and hands shot up with offers to help organize. Jamal felt the weight of fear lift, replaced with sheer determination. And then they heard it, a loud boom echoed from the direction of the CEO's office, just a few blocks away. White smoke billowed into the sky like a dark foreboding cloud. Jamal's heart raced again, fear revisiting him like an unwanted guest. What is that? Someone muttered, voice trembling. We need to find out, Jamal insisted, feeling the pull of urgency latch onto his instincts. They had fought too hard to back down now. As they all turned to face the mysterious plume, Jamal wondered, what had the CEO unleashed? And how would this affect their aspirations? The air hummed with unease as he took a tentative step forward. They were ready for change, but the storm was coming. Would they be prepared to face it? Jamal's steps quickened as he moved toward the smoke, his heart thumping in rhythm with the urgency of the moment. The others followed him, a collective instinct pulling them together. The once vibrant energy of their community project shifted, morphing into something shadowy and chaotic. Maya stayed beside him, her face a mixture of concern and determination. What do you think happened? She asked, her voice tight with anxiety. I have no idea, Jamal replied, but it can't be good. As they approached the source, the remnants of a shattered glass door lay scattered across the pavement, a broken sign gleaming in the fading sunlight. Words plastered boldly across it declared the CEO's name, now extinguished like a flame. People began to gather, their murmurs filling the air like a swarm of anxious bees. He spotted Andre at the front, animatedly speaking to a crowd that had formed around the blasts. I hear there's been a protest. Folks are talking about standing up against the company's plans, and they want to get involved. Jamal's stomach twisted with unease. Protest. But what if it gets out of hand? What if we don't stand up at all? Maya shot back, fire in her eyes. We can't allow fear to silence us. We have to fight back for our community, Jamal. As the words hung between them, a middle-aged man stepped up, one of their regular customers, his brows furrowed with worry. Jamal, have you heard? They're planning to sell the whole lot. This was just their first move to shut us down. We can't let them take this from us. Jamal felt a mix of rage and fear bubbling inside him. The very thing they had built, the trust and unity they had worked to establish, was under threat. He remembered Mrs. Jenkins' words, the hope in her voice, and he knew he had a choice to make. Maybe this explosion is a wake-up call, he announced, his voice rising above the crowd. It's time to show everyone what we stand for. We won't let them shatter our spirit. The crowd responded with murmurs that turned into a rallying chant. Jamal could see the spark igniting within each of them. Today's not the end, it's just the beginning. He shouted, emboldened by their energy. We will have that community meeting, and we will invite everyone to join us. With a renewed sense of purpose, they began to organize. Plans unfolded quickly, volunteers sprang into action, and the restless fear that once gripped Jamal receded. Hours passed as ideas flew around, each person eager to contribute. Flyers were drafted. Social media posts were queued up. Jamal felt momentum building like never before, lifting their project up from the ashes of despair left by the explosion, but just as he began to believe they could turn this tide, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He glared at it, the screen illuminating, displaying the CEO's name. Cold dread washed over him. What if he tries to stop us? He wondered aloud, fear creeping back. Let him, Maya replied, placing a hand on his shoulder, grounding him. That just means we're on the right path. If we stand together, he won stand a chance. The chanting of voices faded into the distance, and Jamal took a deep breath. They were ready to reclaim their story, united against the looming threats. But as the reality of what lay ahead settled in, a question lingered like smoke in the air: how far were they willing to go for the truth? The night felt alive with possibilities, yet heavy with uncertainty. The answer awaited them at dawn, but for now, the battle was just beginning. Jamal stared at his phone, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The screen flickered, the words of the CEO echoing in his mind. What would he say? Would he threaten them? Would he try to undermine everything they had fought so hard to build? Maya watched him, her eyes steady and reassuring. "You okay?" she asked, her voice low. "Not really," he admitted. "What if he tries to take this away from us before we even get started?" A firm grip formed around his heart. The stakes felt unbearably high. Just then, the crowd grew restless again. They were waiting for anything that would give them real hope. Jamal took a deep breath and stepped back into the circle, feeling the energy radiate around him. "Okay, everyone," he called out. "This is our moment. We need to be strong. We need to be smart." A woman near the front raised her hand, her brow creased with concern. "What if we're not heard? What if nobody cares?" Jamal caught her gaze. "They will care. They have to care," he insisted, feeling a surge of emotion. "We can't give them an excuse to think we don't matter. This community means everything to us. It's our home." Maya chimed in, her passion infectious. "And we're going to show them the real strength of our community. We'll hold a meeting that they won't forget. Everyone deserves a chance to speak out." The crowd began to buzz again, nodding and murmuring in approval. The initial fear began to fade, replaced with a sense of purpose that he could almost taste in the air. He scanned the crowd and felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, but just as the energy reached a peak, his phone buzzed again, cutting through the moment. Jamal hesitated, feeling another rush of dread. He had to look. With trembling hands, he opened the message. There it was, an invite for an urgent meeting with the CEO early the next morning. A warning bell clanged in his mind. "They're trying to get to us first," he said quietly, feeling the ground shift beneath him. Maya leaned closer, her voice firm. "What are you going to do?" He looked up, determination glinting in his eyes. "We need to be there, but we also need a plan. We can't walk in blind." "What do we want to ask?" Everyone in the crowd began throwing out ideas, their voices overlapping, creating a torrent of thoughts. They were brainstorming, fueled by adrenaline and the need to protect their home. Jamal felt invincible in that moment, surrounded by people who shared his pain and hope. "Let us gather all the questions we need," he suggested. "Let us demand transparency. If he thinks he can run us over, he's got another thing coming." As faces around him lit up with newfound resolve, he realized they had transformed their fear into something powerful: defiance. Yet beneath the surface, uncertainty whispered doubt. Could the collective energy of this crew truly make a difference against a titan like the CEO? Just then, Andre emerged from the crowd, breathless and bright-eyed. "I heard rumors of a rally. If we put a call out tonight, everyone in the community will join us tomorrow." Jamal's heart raced at the thought. They could rally, and they could show their strength in numbers, but at what cost? Could they galvanize others to stand up, or would fear keep them quiet? "Tonight," Jamal said, "we prepare. Tomorrow, we fight." "Who's in?" A powerful echo of "we are" filled the air, but deep down, Jamal felt a shadow lurking, the knowledge that their greatest test was yet to come. Would they truly be heard? As the night unfolded, he couldn't shake the feeling that the next day would either break them or unite them in a way they'd never imagined. The question still hung in the air: how far were they willing to go? And then it hit him, the moment of truth was just hours away. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow as Jamal gathered his thoughts. Outside, shadows stretched over the streets, hinting at the tension brewing in their hearts. They had spent the night planning and organizing, fueled by a shared mission, but now, nerves coiled tightly in his stomach. Maya paced back and forth, talking to several neighbors who had come to help. "This rally is about more than just us," she emphasized, her tone urgent. "We're showing them we won't back down. Not now, not ever." Jamal nodded, pushing down the anxiety threatening to bubble over. He glanced around, seeing familiar faces filled with a mix of resolve and uncertainty. He wanted to believe that they could make a difference, but deep inside, doubt gnawed at him. "Okay, everyone," Jamal shouted, his voice cutting through the chatter. "Let us go over our game plan one last time." They all huddled in close, intensity teeming in the air. Jamal glanced at the sheets of paper plastered with questions meant for the CEO, scribbled by people who wanted to be heard. "We start by asking about the future of our community. What are his real intentions?" Hands shot up, voices chiming in. "And what about the jobs? Will he really invest in US? Why is he coming after us at all?" Every question propelled them forward, igniting a fire in their throats, but Jamal could feel the weight of each word. This was more than just a meeting, it was a fight for their lives as they knew it. As they prepared, the collective energy began to crystallize into something tangible. Jamal felt a sense of urgency and need to remind everyone of what they stood to lose. "Remember," he said, voice steady despite the whirlwind in his chest. "We've worked so hard for this. It's our home, our families. Don't forget why we're here. This is for every single person who has ever felt marginalized." Cheers erupted, rallying spirits like wind fanning flames. He saw Maya's face lit up, determination painted on her features, her eyes sparkling with conviction. But just then, chaos erupted as a man darted towards them from across the street, waving for attention. It was Andre, his expression alarmed. When he reached them, he gasped for air. "The COS here." He came early. Panic rippled through the crowd. Jamal's heart raced, his hand instinctively reaching for Maya. Was this a trap? "Stay calm," he yelled, though he felt anything but. "We've prepared for this. Stick together." They crowded closer, tense energy vibrating through each participant. Jamal wished he could shake off the shadows creeping into his mind, but he wouldn't let fear dictate their actions. "Somebody's got to go out and confront him," Maya spoke up, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "Who's with me?" A pause fell, thick with uncertainty. Then, one by one, people began to step forward. Courage ignited the atmosphere like firecrackers. Each face gleamed with determination despite doubts lurking in the background. "Let us show him we're not afraid," Andre shouted, igniting a wave of fervent replies. As they moved, Jamal felt an adrenaline rush. He could sense the community thrumming with anticipation, hope mingling with fear. Today could change everything. With each step closer to the CEO, he could almost taste victory or defeat that he locked eyes with Maya, who gave him a reassuring nod, though the worry still hung around like a weight. With the crowd behind him, Jamal felt their hopes merge into one, a single powerful heartbeat pushing them forward. It was time. With his heart pounding and resolve setting solid, Jamal took a deep breath, knowing what lay ahead was unpredictable, a confrontation, yes, but also an opportunity. As they neared the CEO's imposing figure, a thought flashed through his mind: would their fight lead to real change, or would it all unravel like a fabric pulled apart? This was the moment of truth, and he could feel anticipation in the air, each breath, each heartbeat guided by hope. Would they stand firm, or would they waver in fear? And just as they reached the limit of no return, a loud voice cut through the anxiety: "We're not backing down. Not today." It was Jamal, and he hoped this would be the spark they needed. Tomorrow's meeting had become today's showdown, but would it birth the change they craved, or simply be another battle lost? The air crackled with tension as Jamal stood face to face with the CEO. The sun cast long shadows behind him, but the fire in his heart burned bright. Today was about more than just confrontation, it was a declaration. "Why are you here?" Jamal's voice rang clear, cutting through the murmurs that swept through the gathered crowd. "What do you think you can accomplish?" The CEO, arms crossed confidently, flashed a condescending smile. "I came to see how the hero makes his grand stand." "You really believe this little rally is going to change anything?" Defiance surged through Jamal. "This isn't just a rally. It's a movement." He turned to the people behind him, faces filled with determination, each representing a voice once stifled. "We're here for our families, our community. You can't keep us quiet." A ripple of applause burst forth from the crowd, filling him with resolve. As their cheers washed over him, Jamal remembered every struggle, every time he fought against self-doubt. "You underestimated us once," he said, glancing at Maya, who stood firm beside him, "but we're more than your assumptions. We're united. We're building a future together." The CEO's smirk faltered. "A future manufactured from car washes and community gatherings. That's your plan?" Jamal stepped forward, a storm brewing behind his eyes. "Not just car washes. This is about belonging, dignity, and opportunities. How can you not see that?" He gestured behind him, his heart pounding in rhythm with the excitement in the crowd. "You saw a joke of a garage, we see a sanctuary. When you belittle our work, you belittle our people." That hit a nerve, and Jamal saw the faces around him light with pride. Each story shared, each laugh, each brotherhood built through grease and oil had transformed the community into something beautiful, formidable. The whispers of the crowd morphed into echoes of shared dreams, igniting a fire within Jamal. "Change starts here, with us." He shouted, passion spilling over, "You may not understand our value, but we do. We're not an afterthought or a fading ideal." Maya stepped forward, emboldened, "Don't dismiss our desire to rise together. We won't let your arrogance snuff out our spirit. We're not leaving without making our voices heard." The CEO's confidence wavered, and with every word that flowed from Jamal and his community, he felt the balance shift. He wasn't just speaking to the CEO, he was reclaiming control over his narrative. This was their moment, a turning point that would resonate for generations. Laughter and cheers erupted anew. Jamal could see others in the crowd nodding, feeling the surge of unity and strength. They were no longer victims, bowing under pressure. They were warriors, unyielding in their pursuit of a shared future. "I suggest you take a closer look at what we're building here," Jamal continued, voice resonating with truth. "Because we're not going anywhere. You can try to cloud our vision, but we're the architects of our own fate." And for the first time, Jamal witnessed a crack in the CEO's facade, a flicker of doubt in his eyes that ignited a sense of victory within him. The chant spread through the gathered crowd, "We are strong. We are united." It rolled over them like a tide, pounding with strength and promise. Jamal felt grateful, heart soaring as he realized they were not alone. The CEO, visibly shaken by the outpouring of solidarity, finally flipped his gaze. "Fine. If this is what you want, you believe it'll work. Let us see if your resolve stands up when faced with reality." In that moment, Jamal understood. This wasn't just a battle, it was the beginning of a journey. Even if things got tough, he and his community would rise to the challenge. They had learned the ultimate lesson: hope anchors the heart when storms come. As the crowd dispersed, unified and invigorated, Jamal felt the warmth of pride wrap around him. Maya beamed at him. "We made our stand, Jamal. This was just the spark." He grinned back, heart full. "Together, we will keep it alive." The city of Detroit was theirs to mold, and he knew challenges lay ahead, but with a community at his back and belief in their journey, nothing could dim their flame. Together, they would change the narrative. This was their story, and there was no turning back. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now to catch our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring conclusion, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support.